box has been recovered and the debris field is even larger than first thought. At this hour, the search continues for 9 people still unaccounted for following Tuesday's deadly UPS plane crash, which killed at least 12 people. It comes as we're seeing stunning new video showing the moment the plane went down. In this dash camera video, you see the plane come into frame from the left, low to the ground before hitting a building and bursting into flames. Then people right here running to safety. And the WLKY News Chopper is flying over the crash site now, where NTSB investigators continue their work at this hour. Within the past 2 hours, we have learned new information from city leaders. We have live team coverage of this tragedy. Blakely McHugh is with travelers at the airport, but we began with my co-anchor Shaquille Lord with the newest information about Tuesday's crash. Shaq?
Yeah, Jennifer, as you just mentioned, we just learned some new information from Mayor Craig Greenberg and other officials. Now, we do know now that the number of people missing following this devastating plane crash is now 9. Mayor Greenberg gave an update this morning that 6 more people were found since Wednesday, when 16 people in total were unaccounted for. Now, currently, a dozen people are confirmed dead, and the coroner is working to identify them. 3 of the deceased were crew members on board that cargo plane. Now, crews are now carrying out what is being called a delayering search as recovery efforts continue.
Our hope is that we have located all of the victims at this point, but again, we do not know. The search will continue. The teams will be out there searching through the debris now in what's called a delayering search in coordination with the NTSB and their investigation about the crash. There will also be individuals that will be looking underneath. There's so much debris there. There's so much charred, mangled metal that not all of the bodies may have been located until you look underneath certain things.
Yeah, these efforts are going to take quite some time. Now, families that are in search of loved ones who may be missing, you need to call this number. Listen up, it is 800-631-0604. The mayor also said they'll be beginning to escort some of the business owners in that area onto their property to survey the damage. Now, later this afternoon, we are expected to receive an update from the NTSB about their investigation into this plane crash. And of course, they are leading this investigation, so anything official that we get from them, we take them at their word. Now, the U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, he spoke yesterday in Washington, and he warned people about jumping to conclusions on what may have caused this crash. Take a listen.
There are a lot of videos online. A lot of theories have been deployed online based on what folks have seen. We are not in the business of theories. We don't speculate. We are going to wait for the facts to come out, and with those facts, we will present them to the American people, as well as with the NTSB. I'd also note the FAA has a ground team in conjunction with the NTSB, both of them are doing great work to get to the facts of what happened. I do want to extend my condolences to the families of those who lost loved ones in the crash.
And at last check, 2 patients are still in critical condition at the hospital. That's according to officials. They're among the 15 people who were treated at several U of L health facilities.
We've seen burns, obviously, based upon the fire, and we've seen those from being very severe to minor. We've seen blast injuries from the explosion itself. We've also seen some shrapnel injuries where flying pieces of debris have hit either bystanders or people in relatively close proximity to the accident when it occurred. So really a gamut of that, as well as conditions that were exacerbated from the smoke and all of the other things that came into the hospital that were treated.
And again, 2 patients are still in critical condition. The other 13 patients have since been released from the hospital. Now, to honor those 12 lives that were lost as a result of this crash, along with those who may have been impacted, Teamsters Local 89, which represents transportation and warehouse workers, they're hosting a candlelight vigil at 5 o'clock tonight at their Union Hall over on Taylor Boulevard. All members of the community, you guys are invited to come out to attend and, of course, pay your respects and really this really brings together community. All right, my colleague Blakely McHugh, she is also live here at the Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. And Blakely, this time yesterday, there was just one runway open along with some flights that were canceled and delayed. How are things now?
Yeah, so at this point, 2 out of the 3 runways are open. And good news here, almost every single flight all day that we've been here since this morning to now has been on time, which of course we know is a completely different story than yesterday, whereas yesterday we were seeing delays and a majority of the flights actually canceled. It's a lot louder. It's much busier. It is a completely different day here at Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport than it was yesterday. We did speak to people yesterday who were waiting to get on their flights. We also spoke to many of them today, too, saying that they weren't expecting things to be as much as they are back to normal here at the airport. They were expecting maybe some long lines, maybe a little bit more chaos or confusion regarding their flights and flight times. But overall today, things have been running mostly smooth.
My mind, when I woke up this morning, was like, am I going to be able to get there in time to get to work? Am I going to have to fly to a different airport? Just a little nerve-wracking, but, overall, it was a smooth flight to get here.
Yeah, and that's the sentiment that we've heard a number of travelers say this morning. Just curious what they were coming to, but again, most of it has operated pretty smoothly here. We have seen things start to return back to normal with those longer lines this morning, with all of those early morning flights. American Airlines had a pretty long line here, as well as the TSA security screening. Now, we also know that UPS Worldport is once again operating. We did see and have seen UPS flights taking off and arriving this morning. We, of course, know that they shut down operations until late last night because of that plane crash. So things are starting to resume as normal here at the airport, Shaq.
Yes, things certainly look that way, Blakely. Thank you so much. All right, we're hearing from a number of witnesses. As you can imagine, it was a busy time when this crash happened, and many people saw it, including one man who witnessed this crash from inside of the warehouse that actually got hit. Now, Khalil Love works at the UPS Logistics Warehouse. That's just 500 feet from the end of the runway. Now, he says he was inside when the wing of the plane clipped his building, causing it to shake and then lose power. A large hole was cut into the roof by the impact. He says he and his co-workers left immediately, and they were stunned by what they saw. Take a listen.
Me personally, I was just kind of like, this is not happening right now. There's no way that something this substantial just happened. But it did. We lived by a very narrow margin, because if they didn't manage to pull up, I think I wouldn't be standing here right now.
Yeah, we also heard from the UPS CEO who sent a message to workers saying she is grateful for the Louisville team for their professionalism, and they will keep everyone impacted in their hearts. Now, we want to show you some video, some astonishing video from a business near the airport. The moment the UPS cargo plane plowed through businesses. This is from Kentucky Truck Parts and Service, which sits just off of Grade Lane at Knopp Avenue. You can see the flames and the black smoke instantly fill up the air as the plane crashes. Workers also captured the moment they walked out of their businesses and then started running for their lives. Take a listen.
I sent my cousin to the store to get us some soft drinks. And as soon as he left, we went and washed our hands, walked back into the shop, and was trying to eat something. And all of a sudden, the explosion happened, knocked me, I don't know about him, knocked me out of my foot. And, the next thing we know, we just walk out of a shop. It's like maybe 10 feet. And flames were so bad. You can feel the heat from far away. And, we make a decision, run for our lives.
Yeah, certainly chilling hearing him talk. Now, all workers there at that business are okay from what we've been told. They still haven't been able to get back there. But again, we just heard an update from the mayor who says they will start escorting some of these workers, some of these owners back to their property to survey some of the damage that, of course, they have not been able to see since this crash took place. Now, the NTSB, they will be giving an update this afternoon at 3 o'clock. And of course, we're going to bring that to you right here on WLKY. Jennifer, I'm going to toss things back to you in the studio.
All right, Jack, thank you. Congressman Morgan McGarvey joins us now in the studio. First, thanks for joining us. We know it's been a very heavy and long past couple of days. First, I want to ask you, you were able to kind of survey the damage yesterday from the site. Can you tell us about that site and what you saw?
Yeah, it's absolutely horrific. It's almost beyond imagination. I used the word unreal, but like I think we throw that word around too often. We all saw the apocalyptic skies over Louisville, and now that those have cleared, this sort of hellscape of destruction that follows the path of where this plane went. I mean, it is mangled, it is charred. If it's where the plane was, it's almost reduced to nothing but rubble. And then you see these burned out cars and you know, plane parts and silos. It's absolutely gut wrenching. Of course, you know, we know that's where 12 of our neighbors lost their lives. At least 12 of our neighbors lost their lives, and to be out there, it's so horrific, and it's so solemn. It's heavy.
Yeah, well, we know that the NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board, crew landed in Louisville yesterday. You've been in close contact with the NTSB and transportation officials since this happened. What's the latest from the NTSB?
Yeah, I think even just as a Louisvillian, part of my coping mechanism with this tragedy is how can you jump in and help?
Right.
And so Tuesday night was on the phone with NTSB all night. The mayor and I greeted them as they got off the plane, immediately started briefing them. They're on the ground. They've been working nonstop. They do amazing work. And I think one thing to point out with the NTSB, they're professionals. The guy in charge is a Kentuckian. He gets what our community is about. They are coordinating with all federal agencies. They want answers as fast as we do, but they know they have to be deliberate and intentional. They do not want to give wrong information at all. So, you know, they've got everybody from the FBI collecting evidence on the runway, not because it's criminal, just because the FBI, they're experts in collecting evidence. They might be picking up parts of a plane or parts of that engine that we all saw the picture of, bagging it, making sure it's preserved. They're working with the FAA. We even have the Kentucky National Guard out there right now. So people are working. I don't want to wait for answers. I want them right now, but also they're doing a great job of making sure people know what happened and really know.
Well, there's a vigil tonight, and you mentioned you're going to be out there. How are you going to help people? Because this is it's a big city, but it's a small town, and we're all feeling this. I think some of us are starting to feel it for the first time. What's your message to your constituents?
Yeah, the national news cameras are going to leave in a day or two. And what I saw is so horrifying. We know there's at least 12 people who've lost their lives. We know there are first responders who rushed in headfirst, and I mean, to a chaotic fire that was raining oil. We know that there have been so many people who are impacted, business owners. We just talked about some of them being escorted in to see what happened. They're okay, their business isn't. There's a lot of people who need our prayers right now. There's a lot of people who need us to wrap our arms around them, who need our help. I know the governor set up a link where people can donate to help people do that, but then we got to be here for each other for a long time. This is not going to heal quickly. And we got to be there for each other.
The investigation, of course, is going to take a very long time. Congressman, we thank you so much for spending a couple minutes with us here today, and we'll stay in touch with you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Well, some businesses near the crash site are being told not to drink their tap water. Louisville Water says about 50 customers are under what's called a consumer advisory notice. This entire area is also still without power. People impacted are along the Grade Lane area there from Walters Lane up to the railroad tracks by Crittenden Drive. Also, Knopp and Melton Avenue between Grade and Walters Lane. Louisville Water says it is continuing to test the water and mains there of the impacted area. And we have continuing coverage online right now of the UPS plane crash at the Louisville airport, including extended videos, interviews, and the latest on the investigation. You'll find that coverage on the homepage at WLKY.com.